The Torah SKJV, Simplified King James Version. By Rodney Horrell. Copyright 2017. Leviticus. And Yehovah called to Moses, and spoke to him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, If any man of you brings an offering to Yehovah, you all shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd, and of the flock. If his offering is a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before Yehovah. And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. And he shall kill the bullock before Yehovah, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood, and sprinkle the blood all around upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall spread out the burnt offering, and cut it into its pieces. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire upon the altar, and lay the wood in order upon the fire. And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts, the head, and the fat, in order upon the wood that is on the fire which is upon the altar. But his inner parts and his legs shall he wash in water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar, to be a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor to Yehovah. And if his offering is of the flocks, namely, of the sheep, or of the goats, for a burnt sacrifice, he shall bring it a male without blemish. And he shall kill it on the side of the altar northward before Yehovah, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall sprinkle his blood all around upon the altar. And he shall cut it into its pieces, with his head and his fat, and the priest shall lay them in order on the wood that is on the fire which is upon the altar. But he shall wash the inner parts and the legs with water, and the priest shall bring it all, and burn it upon the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor to Yehovah. And if the burnt sacrifice for his offering to Yehovah is of fowls, then he shall bring his offering of turtle doves, or of young pigeons. And the priest shall bring it to the altar, and wring off its head, and burn it on the altar, and the blood of it shall be wrung out at the side of the altar. And he shall pluck away its crop with its feathers, and cast it beside the altar on the east part, by the place of the ashes. And he shall tear it with the wings of it, but shall not divide it, and the priest shall burn it upon the altar, upon the wood that is upon the fire. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor to Yehovah. And when anyone will offer a meal offering to Yehovah, his offering shall be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it, and put frankincense on it. And he shall bring it to Aaron's sons the priests, and he shall take out a handful of the flour, and of the oil, with all of the frankincense, and the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar, to be an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor to Yehovah. And the remnant of the meal offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yehovah made by fire. And if you bring an offering of a meal offering baked in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. And if your offering is a meal offering baked in a pan, it shall be of fine flour unleavened, mingled with oil. You shall part it in pieces, and pour oil on it. It is a meal offering. And if your offering is a meal offering baked in the frying pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. And you shall bring the meal offering that is made of these things to Yehovah, and when it is presented to the priest, he shall bring it to the altar. And the priest shall take from the meal offering a memorial of it, and shall burn it upon the altar. It is an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor to Yehovah. And that which is left of the meal offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yehovah made by fire. No meal offering, which you all shall bring to Yehovah, shall be made with leaven, for you all shall burn no leaven, or any honey, in any offering of Yehovah made by fire. As for the offering of the first fruits, you all shall offer them to Yehovah, but they shall not be burnt on the altar for a sweet savor. And every offering of your meal offering shall you season with salt, neither shall the salt of the covenant of your God be lacking from your meal offering. With all your offerings you shall offer salt. And if you offer a meal offering of your first fruits to Yehovah, you shall offer for the meal offering of your first fruits green ears of corn dried by the fire, even corn beaten out of full ears. And you shall put oil upon it, and lay frankincense on it. It is a meal offering. And the priest shall burn the memorial of it, part of the beaten corn of it, and part of the oil of it, with all the frankincense of it. It is an offering made by fire to Yehovah. And if his offering is a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offers it of the herd, whether it is a male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before Yehovah. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering, and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and Aaron's sons the priests shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar all around. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire to Yehovah, the fat that covers the inner parts, and all the fat that is upon the inner parts. And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the lobe above the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take it away. And Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar upon the burnt sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor to Yehovah. And if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering to Yehovah is of the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offers a lamb for his offering, then shall he offer it before Yehovah. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering, and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation, and Aaron's sons shall sprinkle the blood of it all around upon the altar. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire to Yehovah, the fat of it, and the whole rump. He shall take it off hard by the backbone, and the fat that covers the inner parts, and all the fat that is upon the inner parts. And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the lobe above the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take it away. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire to Yehovah. And if his offering is a goat, then he shall offer it before Yehovah. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of it, and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation, and the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood of it upon the altar all around. And he shall offer of it his offering, even an offering made by fire to Yehovah, the fat that covers the inner parts, and all the fat that is upon the inner parts. And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the lobe above the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take it away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is Yehovah's. It shall be a statute always for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that you all eat neither fat nor blood. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of Yehovah concerning things which should not be done, and shall do from any of them. If the priest that is anointed does sin according to the sins of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he has sinned, a young bullock without blemish to Yehovah for a sin offering. And he shall bring the bullock to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before Yehovah, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head, and kill the bullock before Yehovah. And the priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock's blood, and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle of the blood 7 times before Yehovah, before the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar of sweet incense before Yehovah, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall take off from it all the fat of the bullock for the sin offering, the fat that covers the inner parts, and all the fat that is upon the inner parts. And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the lobe above the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take it away. As it was taken off from the bullock of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall burn them upon the altar of the burnt offering. And the skin of the bullock, and all his flesh, with his head, and with his legs, and his inner parts, and his dung. Even the whole bullock shall he carry outside the camp to a clean place, where the ashes are poured out, and burn him on the wood with fire. He shall be burnt where the ashes are poured out. And if the whole congregation of Israel sins through ignorance, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done something against any of the commandments of Yehovah concerning things which should not be done, and are guilty. When the sin, which they have sinned against it, is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for the sin, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before Yehovah, and the bullock shall be killed before Yehovah. And the priest that is anointed shall bring of the bullock's blood to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood, and sprinkle it 7 times before Yehovah, even before the veil. And he shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar which is before Yehovah, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall take all his fat from him, and burn it upon the altar. And he shall do with the bullock as he did with the bullock for a sin offering, so shall he do with this, and the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. And he shall carry out the bullock outside the camp, and burn it as he burned the first bullock. It is a sin offering for the congregation. When a ruler has sinned, and done something through ignorance against any of the commandments of Yehovah his God concerning things which should not be done, and is guilty. Or if his sin, which he has sinned, comes to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the goat, and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before Yehovah. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out his blood at the bottom of the altar of burnt offering. And he shall burn all his fat upon the altar, as the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall make an atonement for him as concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. And if any one of the common people sins through ignorance, while doing something against any of the commandments of Yehovah concerning things which should not be done, and be guilty, or if their sin, which they have sinned, comes to their knowledge, then they shall bring their offering, a kid of the goats, a female without blemish, for their sin which they have sinned. And they shall lay their hand upon the head of the sin offering, and kill the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering. And the priest shall take of the blood of it with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood of it at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat of it, as the fat is taken away from off the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor to Yehovah, and the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. And if they bring a lamb for a sin offering, they shall bring a female without blemish. And they shall lay their hand upon the head of the sin offering, and kill it for a sin offering in the place where they kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood of it at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat of it, as the fat of the lamb is taken away from the sacrifice of the peace offerings, and the priest shall burn them upon the altar, according to the offerings made by fire to Yehovah, and the priest shall make an atonement for their sin that they has committed, and it shall be forgiven them. And if a soul sins, and hears the voice of an oath, and is a witness, whether they have seen or known of it, if they do not utter it, then they shall bear their iniquity. Or if a soul touches any unclean thing, whether it is a carcass of an unclean beast, or a carcass of unclean cattle, or the carcass of unclean creeping things, and if it is hidden from them, they also shall be unclean, and guilty. Or if someone touches the uncleanness of man, whatever uncleanness it is that a man shall be defiled with, and it is hidden from them, when they know of it, then they shall be guilty. Or if a soul swears, pronouncing with their lips to do evil, or to do good, whatever it is that a man shall pronounce with an oath, and it is hidden from them, when they know of it, then they shall be guilty in one of these. And it shall be, when they shall be guilty in one of these things, that they shall confess that they have sinned in that thing. And they shall bring their trespass offering to Yehovah for their sin which they have sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb or a kid of the goats, for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for them concerning their sin. And if they are not able to bring a lamb, then they shall bring for their trespass, which they have committed, 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, to Yehovah, one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And they shall bring them to the priest, who shall offer that which is for the sin offering first, and wring off its head from its neck, but shall not divide it apart. And he shall sprinkle of the blood of the sin offering upon the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be wrung out at the bottom of the altar. It is a sin offering. And they shall offer the second for a burnt offering, according to the ordinance, and the priest shall make an atonement for them for their sin which they have sinned, and it shall be forgiven them. But if they are not able to bring 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, then they that sinned shall bring for their offering the 10th part of an ephah of fine flour for a sin offering. They shall put no oil upon it, neither shall they put any frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. Then they shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take his handful of it, even a memorial of it, and burn it on the altar, according to the offerings made by fire to Yehovah. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for them for their sin that they have sinned in one of these, and it shall be forgiven them, and the remnant shall be the priest's, as a meal offering. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, If a soul commits a trespass, and sins through ignorance, in the holy things of Yehovah, then they shall bring for their trespass to Yehovah a ram without blemish out of the flocks, with your estimation by shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for a trespass offering. And they shall make amends for the harm that they have done in the holy thing, and shall add the 5th part to it, and give it to the priest, and the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven them. And if a soul sins, and commits any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of Yehovah, though they do not know it, yet they are guilty, and shall bear their iniquity. And they shall bring a ram without blemish out of the flock, with your estimation, for a trespass offering, to the priest, and the priest shall make an atonement for them concerning their ignorance which they strayed and did not know it, and it shall be forgiven them. It is a trespass offering, they have certainly trespassed against Yehovah. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, If a soul sins, and commits a trespass against Yehovah, and lies to their neighbor in that which was delivered to them to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or has deceived their neighbor, or has found that which was lost, and lies concerning it, and swears falsely, in any of all these that someone does, sinning in it. Then it shall be, because they have sinned, and are guilty, that they shall restore that which they took violently away, or the thing which they have deceitfully taken, or that which was delivered to them to keep, or the lost thing which they found. Or all that about which they have sworn falsely, they shall even restore it in the principal, and shall add the fifth part more to it, and give it to him to whoever it belongs, in the day of their trespass offering. And they shall bring their trespass offering to Yehovah, a ram without blemish out of the flock, with your estimation, for a trespass offering, to the priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for them before Yehovah, and it shall be forgiven them for anything of all that they have done in trespassing in it. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Command Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the law of the burnt offering, it is the burnt offering, because of the burning upon the altar all night to the morning, and the fire of the altar shall be burning in it. And the priest shall put on his linen garment, and he shall put his linen underwear upon his flesh, and take up the ashes which the fire has consumed with the burnt offering on the altar, and he shall put them beside the altar. And he shall put off his garments, and put on other garments, and carry out the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. And the fire upon the altar shall be burning in it, it shall not be put out, and the priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and lays the burnt offering in order upon it, and he shall burn on it the fat of the peace offerings. The fire shall always be burning upon the altar, it shall never go out. And this is the law of the meal offering, the sons of Aaron shall offer it before Yehovah, before the altar. And he shall take a handful of it, of the flour of the meal offering, and of the oil of it, and all the frankincense which is upon the meal offering, and shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor, even the memorial of it, to Yehovah. And the remainder of it shall Aaron and his sons eat, with unleavened bread shall it be eaten in the holy place, they shall eat it in the court of the tabernacle of the congregation. It shall not be baked with leaven. I have given it to them for their portion of my offerings made by fire, it is most holy, as is the sin offering, and as the trespass offering. All the males among the children of Aaron shall eat of it. It shall be a statute always in your generations concerning the offerings of Yehovah made by fire, every one that touches them shall be holy. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, This is the offering of Aaron and of his sons, which they shall offer to Yehovah in the day when he is anointed, the 10th part of an ephah of fine flour for a meal offering continually, half of it in the morning, and half of it at night. In a pan it shall be made with oil, and when it is baked, you shall bring it in, and the baked pieces of the meal offering shall you offer for a sweet savor to Yehovah. And the priest of his sons that is anointed instead shall offer it, it is a statute always to Yehovah, it shall be wholly burnt. For every meal offering for the priest shall be wholly burnt, it shall not be eaten. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering, in the place where the burnt offering is killed shall the sin offering be killed before Yehovah, it is most holy. The priest that offers it for sin shall eat it, in the holy place shall it be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle of the congregation. Whatever shall touch the flesh of it shall be holy, and when there is sprinkled of the blood of it upon any garment, you shall wash that on which it was sprinkled in the holy place. But the earthen vessel which it is boiled shall be broken, and if it is boiled in a bronze pot, it shall be both scoured, and rinsed in water. All the males among the priests shall eat of it, it is most holy. And no sin offering, in which any of the blood is brought into the tabernacle of the congregation to reconcile within the holy place, shall be eaten, it shall be burnt in the fire. Likewise this is the law of the trespass offering, it is most holy. In the place where they kill the burnt offering shall they kill the trespass offering, and the blood of it shall he sprinkle all around upon the altar. And they shall offer of all the fat on it, the rump, and the fat that covers the inner parts, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the lobe that is above the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take it away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar for an offering made by fire to Yehovah, it is a trespass offering. Every male among the priests shall eat of it, it shall be eaten in the holy place, it is most holy. As the sin offering is, so is the trespass offering, there is one law for them, the priest that makes atonement with it shall have it. And the priest that offers anyone's burnt offering, even the priest shall have to himself the skin of the burnt offering which he has offered. And all the meal offering that is baked in the oven, and all that is made in the frying pan, and in the pan, shall be the priest's that offers it. And every meal offering, mingled with oil, and dry, shall all the sons of Aaron have, one as much as another. And this is the law of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which they shall offer to Yehovah. If anyone offers it for a thanksgiving, then they shall offer with the sacrifice of thanksgiving unleavened cakes mingled with oil, and unleavened wafers anointed with oil, and cakes mingled with oil, of fine flour, fried. Besides the cakes, they shall offer for their offering leavened bread with the sacrifice of thanksgiving of their peace offerings. And of it they shall offer one out of the whole offering for a heave offering to Yehovah, and it shall be the priest's that sprinkles the blood of the peace offerings. And the flesh of the sacrifice of their peace offerings for thanksgiving shall be eaten the same day that it is offered, they shall not leave any of it until the morning. But if the sacrifice of their offering is a vow, or a voluntary offering, it shall be eaten the same day that they offered their sacrifice, and also on the next day the remainder of it shall be eaten. But the remainder of the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day shall be burnt with fire. And if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of their peace offerings is eaten at all on the third day, it shall not be accepted, neither shall it be imputed to them that offer it, it shall be an abomination, and the soul that eats of it shall bear their iniquity. And the flesh that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten, it shall be burnt with fire, and as for the flesh, all that is clean shall eat of it. But the soul that eats of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offerings, that belongs to Yehovah, having their uncleanness upon them, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. Also the soul that shall touch any unclean thing, as the uncleanness of man, or any unclean beast, or any abominable unclean thing, and eat of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which belongs to Yehovah, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, You all shall eat none of the fat, of ox, or of sheep, or of goat. And the fat of the beast that dies of itself, and the fat of that which is torn with beasts, may be used in any other use, but you all shall in no way eat of it. For whoever eats the fat of the beast, of which men offer an offering made by fire to Yehovah, even the soul that eats it shall be cut off from his people. Also you all shall eat none of the blood, whether it be of fowl or of beast, in any of your dwellings. Whatever soul it is that eats any of the blood, even that soul shall be cut off from their people. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Anyone that offers the sacrifice of their peace offerings to Yehovah shall bring their offering to Yehovah of the sacrifice of their peace offerings. Their own hands shall bring the offerings of Yehovah made by fire, the fat with the breast, they shall bring it, that the breast may be waved for a wave offering before Yehovah. And the priest shall burn the fat upon the altar, but the breast shall be Aaron's and his sons. And the right shoulder shall you all give to the priest for a heave offering of the sacrifices of your peace offerings. He among the sons of Aaron, that offers the blood of the peace offerings, and the fat, shall have the right shoulder for his part. For the wave breast and the heave shoulder have I taken of the children of Israel from off the sacrifices of their peace offerings, and have given them to Aaron the priest and to his sons by a statute always from among the children of Israel. This is the portion of the anointing of Aaron, and of the anointing of his sons, out of the offerings of Yehovah made by fire, in the day when he presented them to minister to Yehovah in the priest's office. Which Yehovah commanded to be given them of the children of Israel, in the day that he anointed them, by a statute always throughout their generations. This is the law of the burnt offering, of the meal offering, and of the sin offering, and of the trespass offering, and of the consecrations, and of the sacrifice of the peace offerings. Which Yehovah commanded Moses in Mount Sinai, in the day that he commanded the children of Israel to offer their offerings to Yehovah, in the wilderness of Sinai. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Take Aaron and his sons with him, and the garments, and the anointing oil, and a bullock for the sin offering, and 2 rams, and a basket of unleavened bread. And all of you gather the congregation together to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Moses did as Yehovah commanded him, and the assembly was gathered together to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Moses said to the congregation, this is the thing which Yehovah commanded to be done. And Moses brought Aaron and his sons, and washed them with water. And he put upon him the coat, and girded him with the sash, and clothed him with the robe, and put the ephod upon him, and he girded him with the embroidered sash of the ephod, and bound it to him with it. And he put the breastplate upon him, also he put in the breastplate the Urim and the Thummim. And he put the turban upon his head, also upon the turban, even upon his forefront, did he put the golden plate, the holy crown, as Yehovah commanded Moses. And Moses took the anointing oil, and anointed the tabernacle and all that was in it, and sanctified them. And he sprinkled of it upon the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar and all its vessels, both the basin and its foot, to sanctify them. And he poured of the anointing oil upon Aaron's head, and anointed him, to sanctify him. And Moses brought Aaron's sons, and put coats upon them, and girded them with sashes, and put caps upon them, as Yehovah commanded Moses. And he brought the bullock for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the bullock for the sin offering. And he killed it, and Moses took the blood, and put it upon the horns of the altar all around with his finger, and purified the altar, and poured the blood at the bottom of the altar, and sanctified it, to make reconciliation upon it. And he took all the fat that was upon the inner parts, and the lobe above the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and their fat, and Moses burned it upon the altar. But the bullock, and his hide, his flesh, and his dung, he burnt with fire outside the camp, as Yehovah commanded Moses. And he brought the ram for the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the ram. And he killed it, and Moses sprinkled the blood upon the altar all around. And he cut the ram into pieces, and Moses burnt the head, and the pieces, and the fat. And he washed the inner parts and the legs in water, and Moses burnt the whole ram upon the altar. It was a burnt sacrifice for a sweet savor, and an offering made by fire to Yehovah, as Yehovah commanded Moses. And he brought the other ram, the ram of consecration, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the ram. And he killed it, and Moses took of the blood of it, and put it upon the tip of Aaron's right ear, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And he brought Aaron's sons, and Moses put of the blood upon the tip of their right ear, and upon the thumbs of their right hands, and upon the great toes of their right feet, and Moses sprinkled the blood upon the altar all around. And he took the fat, and the rump, and all the fat that was upon the inner parts, and the lobe above the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and their fat, and the right shoulder. And out of the basket of unleavened bread that was before Yehovah he took 1 unleavened cake, and a cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer, and put them on the fat, and upon the right shoulder. And he put all upon Aaron's hands, and upon his sons' hands, and waved them for a wave offering before Yehovah. And Moses took them from off their hands, and burnt them on the altar upon the burnt offering. They were consecrations for a sweet savor, it is an offering made by fire to Yehovah. And Moses took the breast, and waved it for a wave offering before Yehovah, for of the ram of consecration it was Moses' part, as Yehovah commanded Moses. And Moses took of the anointing oil, and of the blood which was upon the altar, and sprinkled it upon Aaron, and upon his garments, and upon his sons, and upon his sons' garments with him, and sanctified Aaron, and his garments, and his sons' garments with him. And Moses said to Aaron and to his sons, Boil the flesh at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and there eat it with the bread that is in the basket of consecrations, as I commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat it. And that which remains of the flesh and of the bread shall you all burn with fire. And you all shall not go out of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation for 7 days, until the days of your consecration are ended, for 7 days he shall consecrate you. As he has done this day, so Yehovah has commanded to do, to make an atonement for you. Therefore shall you all remain at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation day and night for 7 days, and keep the charge of Yehovah, that you all do not die, for so I am commanded. So Aaron and his sons did all the things which Yehovah commanded by the hand of Moses. And it came to pass on the 8th day, that Moses called Aaron and his sons, and the elders of Israel. And he said to Aaron, Take to yourself a young calf for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering, without blemish, and offer them before Yehovah. And to the children of Israel you shall speak, saying, Take you all a kid of the goats for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both of the first year, without blemish, for a burnt offering. Also a bullock and a ram for peace offerings, to sacrifice before Yehovah, and a meal offering mingled with oil, for today Yehovah will appear to you. And they brought that which Moses commanded before the tabernacle of the congregation, and all the congregation drew near and stood before Yehovah. And Moses said, This is the thing which Yehovah commanded that you all should do, and the glory of Yehovah shall appear to you. And Moses said to Aaron, Go to the altar, and offer your sin offering, and your burnt offering, and make an atonement for yourself, and for the people, and offer the offering of the people, and make an atonement for them, as Yehovah commanded. Aaron therefore went to the altar, and killed the calf of the sin offering, which was for himself. And the sons of Aaron brought the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood, and put it upon the horns of the altar, and poured out the blood at the bottom of the altar. But the fat, and the kidneys, and the lobe above the liver of the sin offering, he burnt upon the altar, as Yehovah commanded Moses. And the flesh and the hide he burnt with fire outside the camp. And he killed the burnt offering, and Aaron's sons presented to him the blood, which he sprinkled all around upon the altar. And they presented the burnt offering to him, with the pieces of it, and the head, and he burnt them upon the altar. And he did wash the inner parts and the legs, and burnt them upon the burnt offering on the altar. And he brought the people's offering, and took the goat, which was the sin offering for the people, and killed it, and offered it for sin, as the first. And he brought the burnt offering, and offered it according to the ordinance. And he brought the meal offering, and took a handful of it, and burnt it upon the altar, beside the burnt sacrifice of the morning. He also killed the bullock and the ram for a sacrifice of peace offerings, which was for the people, and Aaron's sons presented to him the blood, which he sprinkled upon the altar all around. And the fat of the bullock and of the ram, the rump, and that which covers the inner parts, and the kidneys, and the lobe above the liver. And they put the fat upon the breasts, and he burnt the fat upon the altar. And the breasts and the right shoulder Aaron waved for a wave offering before Yehovah, as Moses commanded. And Aaron lifted up his hand towards the people, and blessed them, and came down from offering of the sin offering, and the burnt offering, and peace offerings. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation, and came out, and blessed the people, and the glory of Yehovah appeared to all the people. And there came a fire out from before Yehovah, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted, and fell on their faces. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, each took their censer, and put fire in it, and put incense on it, and offered strange fire before Yehovah, which he commanded them not to do. And there went out fire from Yehovah, and devoured them, and they died before Yehovah. Then Moses said to Aaron, This is that which Yehovah spoke, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come near me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace. And Moses called Misal and Elzaphan, the sons of Uzziel the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, Come near, carry your relatives from before the sanctuary out of the camp. So they went near, and carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moses had said. And Moses said to Aaron, and to Eleazar and to Ithamar, his sons, Do not uncover your heads, neither tear your clothes, or else you will all die, or else wrath will come upon all the people, but let your brothers, the whole house of Israel, cry about the burning which Yehovah has kindled. And you all shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, or else you will all die, for the anointing oil of Yehovah is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. And Yehovah spoke to Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine or strong drink, you, or your sons with you, when you all go into the tabernacle of the congregation, or else you will all die. It shall be a statute always throughout your generations. And that you all may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean. And that you all may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which Yehovah has spoken to them by the hand of Moses. And Moses spoke to Aaron, and to Eleazar and to Ithamar, his sons that were left, Take the meal offering that remains of the offerings of Yehovah made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. And you all shall eat it in the holy place, because it is your portion, and your son's portion, of the sacrifices of Yehovah made by fire, for so I am commanded. And the wave breast and heave shoulder shall you all eat in a clean place, you, and your sons, and your daughters with you, for they are your portion, and your son's portion, which are given out of the sacrifices of peace offerings of the children of Israel. The heave shoulder and the wave breast shall they bring with the offerings made by fire of the fat, to wave it for a wave offering before Yehovah, and it shall be yours, and your sons with you, by a statute always, as Yehovah has commanded. And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and look, it was burnt, And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron which were left alive, saying, Why have you both not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy, and God has given it to you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before Yehovah? Look, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place, you all should indeed have eaten it in the holy place, as I commanded. And Aaron said to Moses, Look, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before Yehovah, and such things have encountered me, and if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of Yehovah? And when Moses heard that, he was content. And Yehovah spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying to them, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which you all shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatever parts the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and chews the cud, among the beasts, that shall you all eat. Nevertheless these shall you all not eat of them that chew the cud, nor of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because it chews the cud, but the hoof is not divided, it is unclean to you. And the rock badger, because it chews the cud, but the hoof is not divided, it is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud, but the hoof is not divided, it is unclean to you. And the swine, though its hoof is divided, and is cloven-footed, yet it does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall you all not eat, and their carcass shall you all not touch, they are unclean to you. These shall you all eat of all that are in the waters, whatever has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall you all eat. And all that have no fins and scales in the seas, and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination to you. They shall be even an abomination to you, you all shall not eat of their flesh, but you all shall abhor their carcasses. Whatever has no fins or scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination to you. And these are they which you all shall abhor among the fowls, they shall not be eaten, they are an abomination, the eagle, and the bearded vulture, and the black eagle, and the vulture, and the kite after its kind, every raven after its kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after its kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the stork, the heron after its kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All fowls that creep, going upon all fours, shall be an abomination to you. Yet these may you all eat of every flying creeping thing that goes upon all fours, which have legs above their feet, to leap with upon the earth. Even these of them you all may eat, the locust after its kind, and the bald locust after its kind, and the beetle after its kind, and the grasshopper after its kind. But all other flying creeping things, which have 4 feet, shall be an abomination to you. And for these you all shall be unclean, whoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean until the evening. And whoever bears the carcass of them shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening. The carcasses of every beast which divides the hoof, and is not cloven-footed, or chews the cud, are unclean to you, every one that touches them shall be unclean. And whatever goes upon his paws, among all of the beasts that go on all fours, those are unclean to you, whoever touches their carcass shall be unclean until the evening. And he that bears the carcass of them shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening, they are unclean to you. These also shall be unclean to you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel, and the mouse, and the tortoise after its kind, and the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole. These are unclean to you among all that creep, whoever does touch them, when they are dead, shall be unclean until the evening. And upon whatever any of them, when they are dead, does fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood, or clothing, or skin, or sack, whatever vessel it is, which any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the evening, so it shall be cleansed. And every earthen vessel, whereinto any of them falls, whatever is in it shall be unclean, and you all shall break it. Of all food which may be eaten, that on which such water comes shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. And everything where any part of their carcass falls upon shall be unclean, whether it is an oven, or stoves for pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean to you. Nevertheless a fountain or pit, which there is plenty of water, shall be clean, but that which touches their carcass shall be unclean. And if any part of their carcass falls upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it shall be clean. But if any water is put upon the seed, and any part of their carcass falls on it, it shall be unclean to you. And if any beast, of which you all may eat, die, he that touches the carcass of it shall be unclean until the evening. And he that eats of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening, he also that bears the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening. And every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth shall be an abomination, it shall not be eaten. Whatever goes upon the belly, and whatever goes upon all fours, or whatever has more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, you all shall not eat them, for they are an abomination. You all shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creeps, neither shall you all make yourselves unclean with them, that you all should be defiled by them. For I am Yehovah your God, you all shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and you all shall be holy, for I am holy, neither shall you all defile yourselves with every kind of creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. For I am Yehovah that brings you up out of the land of Egypt, to be your God, you all shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. This is the law of the beasts, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moves in the waters, and of every creature that creeps upon the earth. To make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If a woman has conceived seed, and born a male, then she shall be unclean for 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity she shall be unclean. And in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. And she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying for 33 days, she shall touch no holy thing, or come into the sanctuary, until the days of her purifying are fulfilled. But if she bears a female, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying for 66 days. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled, for a son, or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon, or a turtle dove, for a sin offering, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, to the priest. Who shall offer it before Yehovah, and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law for her that has borne a male or a female. And if she is not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, the one for the burnt offering, and the other for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean. And Yehovah spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh arising a scab or bright spot, and it is in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons the priests. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague has turned white, and the plague that is inside is deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy, and the priest shall look on him, and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot is white in the skin of his flesh, and inside is not deeper than the skin, and the hair of it has not turned white, then the priest shall shut him up that has the plague for 7 days. And the priest shall look on him on the 7th day, and look, if the plague in his side remains, and the plague does not spread in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up for 7 more days. And the priest shall look on him again on the 7th day, and look, if the plague is something dark, and the plague does not spread in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean, it is a scab, and he shall wash his clothes, and be clean. But if the scab spreads greatly in the skin, after that he has been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest sees that, look, the scab has spread in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought to the priest. And the priest shall see him, and look, if the rising is white in the skin, and it has turned the hair white, and there is reviving raw flesh in the swelling. It is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy breaks out greatly in the skin, and the leprosy covers all the skin of him that has the plague from his head even to his foot, wherever the priest looks, then the priest shall consider, and look, if the leprosy has covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that has the plague, it is all turned white, he is clean. But when raw flesh appears in him, he shall be unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean, it is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turns again, and is changed to white, he shall come to the priest. And the priest shall see him, and look, if the plague is turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that has the plague, he is clean. The flesh also, in which even in the skin of it, was a boil, and is healed. And in the place of the boil there is a white rising, or a bright spot, white, and something reddish, and it is shown to the priest. And if, when the priest sees it, look, it is in sight lower than the skin, and the hair of it is turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. But if the priest looks on it, and look, there is no white hairs in it, and if it is not lower than the skin, but is something dark, then the priest shall shut him up for 7 days. And if it spreads greatly in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is a plague. But if the bright spot stays in its place, and does not spread, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if there is any flesh, in the skin in which there is a hot burning, and the tender flesh that burns has a white bright spot, something reddish, or white. Then the priest shall look upon it, and look, if the hair in the bright spot has turned white, and it is in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning, therefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest looks on it, and look, there is no white hair in the bright spot, and it is no lower than the other skin, but is something dark, then the priest shall shut him up for 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and if it is spread greatly in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stays in its place, and does not spread in the skin, but it is something dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. If a man or woman has a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and look, if it is in sight deeper than the skin, and there is in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce the person unclean, it is a dry scab, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. And if the priest looks on the plague of the scab, and look, it is not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut the person up that has the plague of the scab for 7 days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and look, if the scab does not spread, and there is in it no yellow hair, and the scab is not in sight deeper than the skin, the person shall be shaven, but the scab the person shall not shave, and the priest shall shut them up that has the scab for 7 more days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the scab, and look, if the scab is not spread in the skin, or is in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce the person clean, and they shall wash their clothes, and be clean. But if the scab spreads greatly in the skin after their cleansing, then the priest shall look on the person, and look, if the scab is spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, they are unclean. But if the scab is in his sight stopped, and that there is black hair grown up in it, the scab is healed, the person is clean, and the priest shall pronounce the person clean. If a man also or a woman has in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and look, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh is darkish white, it is a freckled spot that grew in the skin, the person is clean. And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, still he is clean. And he that has his hair fallen off from the part of his head towards his face, he is forehead bald, still he is clean. And if there is in the bald head, or bald forehead, a reddish white sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head, or his bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and look, if the rising of the sore is reddish white in his bald head, or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appears in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man, he is unclean, the priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean, his plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be torn, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, Unclean, unclean. All the days which the plague shall be in him he shall be defiled, he is unclean, he shall dwell alone, his habitation shall be outside the camp. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it is a woolen garment, or a linen garment, whether it is in the woven material, or knitted material, of linen, or of woolen, whether in a skin, or in anything made of skin. And if the plague is greenish or reddish in the garment, or in the skin, either in the woven material, or in the knitted material, or in anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be shown to the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shut up it that has the plague for 7 days. And he shall look on the plague on the 7th day, if the plague is spread in the garment, either in the woven material, or in the knitted material, or in a skin, or in any work that is made of skin, the plague is a painful leprosy, it is unclean. He shall therefore burn that garment, whether woven material or knitted material, in woolen or in linen, or anything of skin, which the plague is, for it is a painful leprosy, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look, and look, the plague is not spread in the garment, either in the woven material, or in the knitted material, or in anything of skin. Then the priest shall command that they wash the thing which the plague is, and he shall shut it up for 7 more days. And the priest shall look on the plague, after that it is washed, and look, if the plague has not changed its color, and the plague is not spread, it is unclean, you shall burn it in the fire, it is eaten away inside, whether it is bare within or without. And if the priest looks, and look, the plague is something dark after washing it, then he shall tear it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the woven material, or out of the knitted material. And if it still appears in the garment, either in the woven material, or in the knitted material, or in anything of skin, it is a spreading plague, you shall burn that which the plague is with fire. And the garment, either woven material, or knitted material, or whatever thing of skin it is, which you shall wash, if the plague is departed from them, then it shall be washed the 2nd time, and shall be clean. This is the law of the plague of leprosy in a garment of woolen or linen, either in the woven material, or knitted material, or anything of skins, to pronounce it clean, or to pronounce it unclean. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing, he shall be brought to the priest. And the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and look, if the plague of leprosy is healed in the leper. Then shall the priest command to take for him that is to be cleansed 2 birds alive and clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command that one of the birds be killed in an earthen vessel over running water. As for the living bird, he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water. And he shall sprinkle upon him that is to be cleansed from the leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird loose into the open field. And he that is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes, and shave off all his hair, and wash himself in water, that he may be clean, and after that he shall come into the camp, and shall stay outside of his tent for 7 days. But it shall be on the 7th day, that he shall shave all his hair off his head and his beard and his eyebrows, even all his hair he shall shave off, and he shall wash his clothes, also he shall wash his flesh in water, and he shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 he-lambs without blemish, and 1 ewe-lamb of the 1st year without blemish, and 3/10 parts of fine flour for a meal offering, mingled with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the priest that makes him clean shall present the man that is to be made clean, and those things, before Yehovah, at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall take 1 he-lamb, and offer him for a trespass offering, and the log of oil, and wave them for a wave offering before Yehovah. And he shall kill the lamb in the place where he shall kill the sin offering and the burnt offering, in the holy place, for as the sin offering is the priest's, so is the trespass offering, it is most holy. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil, and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle of the oil with his finger 7 times before Yehovah. And of the rest of the oil that is in his hand shall the priest put upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, upon the blood of the trespass offering. And the remnant of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall pour upon the head of him that is to be cleansed, and the priest shall make an atonement for him before Yehovah. And the priest shall offer the sin offering, and make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed from his uncleanness, and afterwards he shall kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the burnt offering and the meal offering upon the altar, and the priest shall make an atonement for him, and he shall be clean. And if he is poor, and cannot get so much, then he shall take 1 lamb for a trespass offering to be waved, to make an atonement for him, and 1/10 part of fine flour mingled with oil for a meal offering, and a log of oil. And 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to get, and the one shall be a sin offering, and the other a burnt offering. And he shall bring them on the 8th day for his cleansing to the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, before Yehovah. And the priest shall take the lamb of the trespass offering, and the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them for a wave offering before Yehovah. And he shall kill the lamb of the trespass offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall pour of the oil into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before Yehovah. And the priest shall put of the oil that is in his hand upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, upon the place of the blood of the trespass offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put upon the head of him that is to be cleansed, to make an atonement for him before Yehovah. And he shall offer one of the turtle doves, or of the young pigeons, such as he can get. Even such as he is able to get, the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, with the meal offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed before Yehovah. This is the law of him in whom is the plague of leprosy, whose hand is not able to get that which pertains to his cleansing. And Yehovah spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, When you all have come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession. And he that owns the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, It seems to me there is a plague in the house. Then the priest shall command that they empty the house, before the priest goes into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house are not made unclean, and afterwards the priest shall go in to see the house. And he shall look on the plague, and look, if the plague is in the walls of the house with hollow depressions, greenish or reddish, which are inside lower than the wall. Then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house for 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the 7th day, and shall look, if the plague is spread in the walls of the house. Then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place outside the city. And he shall cause the house to be scraped within all around, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off outside the city into an unclean place. And they shall take other stones, and put them in the place of those stones, and he shall take other mortar, and shall plaster the house. And if the plague comes again, and breaks out in the house, after he has taken away the stones, and after he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look, if the plague is spread in the house, it is a painful leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber of it, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them out outside of the city into an unclean place. Also he that goes into the house all the while that it is shut up shall be unclean until the evening. And he that lies down in the house shall wash his clothes, and he that eats in the house shall wash his clothes. And if the priest shall come in, and look upon it, and look, the plague has not spread in the house, after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take 2 birds to cleanse the house, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And he shall kill one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. But he shall let go the living bird out of the city into the open fields, and make an atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the law for all of the plagues of leprosy, and scab. And for the leprosy of a garment, and of a house. And for a rising, and for a scab, and for a bright spot. To teach when it is unclean, and when it is clean, this is the law of leprosy. And Yehovah spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When any man has a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh has stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed, where he lies that has the issue, is unclean, and everything, where he sat, shall be unclean. And whoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And he that sat on anything where he sat that has the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And he that touches the flesh of him that has the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And if he that has the issue spit upon him that is clean, then he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And whatever saddle he rides upon that has the issue shall be unclean. And whoever touches anything that was under him shall be unclean until the evening, and he that bears any of those things shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And whoever he touches that has the issue, and has not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And the vessel of earth, that he touches which has the issue, shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And when he that has an issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to himself 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and come before Yehovah to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them to the priest. And the priest shall offer them, the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him before Yehovah for his issue. And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until the evening. And every garment, and every skin, where is the seed of copulation, shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the evening. The woman also with whom a man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if a woman has an issue, and her issue in her flesh is blood, she shall be put apart for 7 days, and whoever touches her shall be unclean until the evening. And everything that she lies upon in her separation shall be unclean, everything also that she sat upon shall be unclean. And whoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And whoever touches anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. And if it is on her bed, or on anything where she sat, when he touches it, he shall be unclean until the evening. And if any man lie with her at all, and her impurity be upon him, he shall be unclean for 7 days, and all the bed where he lies shall be unclean. And if a woman has an issue of her blood for many days out of the time of her separation, or if it runs beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation, she shall be unclean. Every bed where she lies all the days of her issue shall be to her as the bed of her separation, and whatever she sat upon shall be unclean, as the uncleanness of her separation. And whoever touches those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and is unclean until the evening. But if she is cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take to herself 2 turtles doves, or 2 young pigeons, and bring them to the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for her before Yehovah for the issue of her uncleanness. So shall you all separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they do not die in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that has an issue, and of him whose seed goes from him, and is defiled with it. And of her that is sick of her impurity, and of him that has an issue, of the man, and of the woman, and of him that lies with her that is unclean. And Yehovah spoke to Moses after the death of the 2 sons of Aaron, when they offered before Yehovah, and died. And Yehovah said to Moses, Speak to Aaron your brother, that he does not come at any time into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, so that he does not die, for I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. So shall Aaron come into the holy place, with a young bullock for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen underwear upon his flesh, and shall be girded with a linen sash, and he shall be dressed with the linen turban. These are holy garments, therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. And he shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering. And Aaron shall offer his bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself, and for his house. And he shall take the 2 goats, and present them before Yehovah at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for Yehovah, and the other lot for the goat of departure. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which Yehovah's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat, on which the lot fell to be the goat of departure, shall be presented alive before Yehovah, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a goat of departure into the wilderness. And Aaron shall bring the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make an atonement for himself, and for his house, and shall kill the bullock of the sin offering which is for himself. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar before Yehovah, and his hands full of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense upon the fire before Yehovah, that the cloud of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he does not die. And he shall take of the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward, and before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle of the blood with his finger 7 times. Then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering, that is for the people, and bring his blood within the veil, and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat, and before the mercy seat. And he shall make an atonement for the holy place, because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions in all their sins, and so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation, that remains among them in the middle of their uncleanness. And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation when he goes in to make an atonement in the holy place, until he comes out, and has made an atonement for himself, and for his household, and for all the congregation of Israel. And he shall go out to the altar that is before Yehovah, and make an atonement for it, and shall take of the blood of the bullock, and of the blood of the goat, and put it upon the horns of the altar all around. And he shall sprinkle of the blood upon it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and sanctify it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. And when he has made an end of reconciling the holy place, and the tabernacle of the congregation, and the altar, he shall bring the live goat. And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions and all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness. And the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities to a land not inhabited, and he shall let go the goat in the wilderness. And Aaron shall come into the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall put off the linen garments, which he put on when he went into the holy place, and shall leave them there. And he shall wash his flesh with water in the holy place, and put on his garments, and come out, and offer his burnt offering, and the burnt offering of the people, and make an atonement for himself, and for the people. And the fat of the sin offering he shall burn upon the altar. And he that let go the goat for the goat of departure shall wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in water, and afterwards come back into the camp. And the bullock for the sin offering, and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy place, shall be carried out outside the camp, and they shall burn in the fire their skins, and their flesh, and their dung. And he that burns them shall wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in water, and afterwards he shall come into the camp. And this shall be a statute always to you, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you all shall afflict your souls, and do not work at all, whether it is one of your own country, or a stranger that resides among you. For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you, to cleanse you, that you all may be clean from all your sins before Yehovah. It shall be a Sabbath of rest to you, and you all shall afflict your souls, by a statute always. And the priest, whom he shall anoint, and whom he shall consecrate to minister in the priest's office instead of his father, shall make the atonement, and shall put on the linen clothes, even the holy garments. And he shall make an atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make an atonement for the tabernacle of the congregation, and for the altar, and he shall make an atonement for the priests, and for all the people of the congregation. And this shall be an everlasting statute to you, to make an atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And he did as Yehovah commanded Moses. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron, and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, This is the thing which Yehovah has commanded, saying, Whatever man there is of the house of Israel, that kills an ox, or lamb, or goat, in the camp, or that kills it out of the camp, and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, to offer an offering to Yehovah before the tabernacle of Yehovah, blood shall be imputed to that man, he has shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people. For the purpose that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices, which they offer in the open field, even that they may bring them to Yehovah, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, to the priest, and offer them for peace offerings to Yehovah. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar of Yehovah at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and burn the fat for a sweet savor to Yehovah. And they shall not any more offer their sacrifices to devils, after whom they have gone a prostituting. This shall be a statute always to them throughout their generations. And you shall say to them, Whatever man there is of the house of Israel, or of the strangers which reside among you, that offers a burnt offering or sacrifice, and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, to offer it to Yehovah, even that man shall be cut off from among his people. And whatever man there is of the house of Israel, or of the strangers that reside among you, that eats any blood, I will even set my face against that soul that eats blood, and will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that makes an atonement for the soul. Therefore I said to the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that resides among you shall eat blood. And whatever man there is of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that reside among you, which hunts and catches any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall pour out the blood of it, and cover it with dust. For it is the life of all flesh, the blood of it is for the life of it. Therefore I said to the children of Israel, you all shall eat the blood of no flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood of it, whoever eats it shall be cut off. And every soul that eats that which died of itself, or that which was torn with beasts, whether it is one of your own country, or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening, then shall he be clean. But if he does not wash them, or bathe his flesh, then he shall bear his iniquity. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, I am Yehovah your God. After the deeds of the land of Egypt, which you all dwelt, shall you all not do, and after the deeds of the land of Canaan, where I bring you, shall you all not do, neither shall you all walk in their ordinances. You all shall do my judgments, and keep my ordinances, to walk in them. I am Yehovah your God. You all shall therefore keep my statutes, and my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live in them. I am Yehovah. None of you shall approach to anyone that is a blood relation to himself, to uncover their nakedness. I am Yehovah. The nakedness of your father, or the nakedness of your mother, you shall not uncover, she is your mother, you shall not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife you shall not uncover, it is your father's nakedness. The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or daughter of your mother, whether she is born at home, or born outside, even their nakedness you shall not uncover. The nakedness of your son's daughter, or of your daughter's daughter, even their nakedness you shall not uncover, for they are your own nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife's daughter, offspring of your father, she is your sister, you shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister, she is your father's blood relative. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is your mother's blood relative. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother, you shall not approach his wife, she is your aunt. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your daughter-in-law, she is your son's wife, you shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife, it is your brother's nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, neither shall you take her son's daughter, or her daughter's daughter, to uncover her nakedness, for they are her blood relations, it is wickedness. Neither shall you take a wife with her sister, to distress her, to uncover her nakedness, besides the other in her lifetime. Also you shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. Also you shall not lie carnally with your neighbor's wife, to defile yourself with her. And you shall not let any of your seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shall you profane the name of your God. I am Yehovah. You shall not lie with mankind, as with womankind, it is an abomination. Neither shall you lie with any beast to defile yourself with it, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down there, it is a perversion. All of you do not defile yourselves in any of these things, for in all these are the nations defiled which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity of it upon it, and the land itself vomits out its inhabitants. You all shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, or any stranger that resides among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. So that the land does not spew you out also, when you all defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall you all keep my ordinance, that you all do not commit any one of these abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that you all do not defile yourselves in them. I am Yehovah your God. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say to them, you all shall be holy, for I Yehovah your God am holy. You all shall fear every man his mother, and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am Yehovah your God. All of you do not turn to idols, or make to yourselves molten gods. I am Yehovah your God. And if you all offer a sacrifice of peace offerings to Yehovah, you all shall offer it at your own will. It shall be eaten the same day that you all offer it, and on the next day, and if it should remain until the third day, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if it is eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable, it shall not be accepted. Therefore every one that eats it shall bear his iniquity, because he has defiled the holy thing of Yehovah, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And when you all reap the harvest of your land, you shall not completely reap the corners of your field, neither shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. And you shall not glean your vineyard, neither shall you gather every grape of your vineyard, you shall leave them for the poor and stranger. I am Yehovah your God. You all shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie to one another. And you all shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shall you profane the name of your God. I am Yehovah. You shall not deceive your neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not remain with you all night until the morning. You shall not curse the deaf, or put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear your God. I am Yehovah. You all shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, you shall not respect the person of the poor, or honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor. You shall not go up and down as a slanderer among your people, neither shall you stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yehovah. You shall not hate your brother in your heart, you shall always rebuke your neighbor, and not allow sin upon him. You shall not avenge, or bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yehovah. You all shall keep my statutes. You shall not let your cattle breed with a different kind, you shall not sow your field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon you. And whoever lies carnally with a woman, that is a maidservant, engaged to a man, and not at all redeemed, or freedom given to her, she shall be scourged, they shall not be put to death, because she was not free. And he shall bring his trespass offering to Yehovah, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before Yehovah for his sin which he has done, and the sin which he has done shall be forgiven him. And when you all shall come into the land, and shall have planted all kinds of trees for food, then you all shall count the fruit of it as uncircumcised, 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised to you, it shall not be eaten. But in the 4th year all the fruit of it shall be holy to praise Yehovah with. And in the 5th year shall you all eat of the fruit of it, that it may yield to you the increase of it. I am Yehovah your God. You all shall not eat anything with the blood in it, neither shall you all use enchantments, or observe times. You all shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall you destroy the corners of your beard. You all shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, or print any tattoo upon yourselves. I am Yehovah. Do not prostitute your daughter, to cause her to be a prostitute, or else the land fall to adultery, and the land become full of wickedness. You all shall keep my Sabbaths, and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yehovah. Do not turn to them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards, to be defiled by them. I am Yehovah your God. You shall rise up before the gray-headed, and honor the face of the old man, and fear your God. I am Yehovah. And if a stranger resides with you in your land, you all shall not oppress him. But the stranger that dwells with you shall be to you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you all were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Yehovah your God. You all shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in measures, in weight, or in quantity. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin, shall you all have. I am Yehovah your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you all observe all my statutes, and all my judgments, and do them. I am Yehovah. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Again, you shall say to the children of Israel, whoever is of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that reside in Israel, that gives any of his seed to Molech, he shall surely be put to death, the people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he has given of his seed to Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to defile my holy name. And if the people of the land do in any way hide their eyes from the man, when he gives of his seed to Molech, and does not kill him, then I will set my face against that man, and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a prostituting after him, to commit adultery with Molech, from among their people. And the soul that turns after such that have familiar spirits, and after wizards, to go a prostituting after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people. Therefore sanctify yourselves, and all of you be holy, for I am Yehovah your God. And you all shall keep my statutes, and do them, I am Yehovah which sanctifies you. For every one that curses their father or their mother shall be surely put to death. They have cursed their father or their mother, their blood shall be upon them. And the man that commits adultery with another man's wife, even he that commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. And the man that lies with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness, both of them shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And if a man lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death, they have done a perverse thing, their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lies with a man, as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And if a man takes a wife and her mother, it is wickedness, they shall be burnt with fire, both he and they, that there is no wickedness among you. And if a man lies with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and you all shall kill the beast. And if a woman approaches to any beast, and lies down there, you shall kill the woman, and the beast, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people, he has uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he has discovered her fountain, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. And you shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, or of your father's sister, for he uncovers his blood relative, they shall bear their iniquity. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness, they shall bear their sin, they shall die childless. And if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing, he has uncovered his brother's nakedness, they shall be childless. You all shall therefore keep all my statutes, and all my judgments, and do them, that the land, where I bring you to dwell in it, does not spew you out. And you all shall not walk in the ordinances of the nation, which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said to you, you all shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you to possess it, a land that flows with milk and honey, I am Yehovah your God, who has separated you from other people. You all shall therefore put a difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean, and you all shall not make your souls abominable by beast, or by fowl, or by any living thing that creeps on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. And you all shall be holy to me, for I Yehovah am holy, and have severed you from other people, that you all should be mine. A man also or woman that has a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death, they shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them. And Yehovah said to Moses, Speak to the priests the sons of Aaron, and say to them, There shall be none defiled for the dead among his people. But for his blood relative, that is near to him, that is, for his mother, and for his father, and for his son, and for his daughter, and for his brother, and for his sister a virgin, that is near to him, who has had no husband, for her may he be defiled. But he shall not defile himself, being a lord among his people, to defile himself. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, or make any cuttings in their flesh. They shall be holy to their God, and not profane the name of their God, for the offerings of Yehovah made by fire, and the bread of their God, they do offer, therefore they shall be holy. They shall not take a wife that is a prostitute, or defile, neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy to his God. You shall therefore sanctify him, for he offers the bread of your God, he shall be holy to you, for I Yehovah, which sanctify you, am holy. And the daughter of any priest, if she defiles herself by playing the prostitute, she defiles her father, she shall be burnt with fire. And he that is the high priest among his brothers, upon whose head the anointing oil was poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not uncover his head, or tear his clothes. Neither shall he go into any dead body, or defile himself for his father, or for his mother. Neither shall he go out of the sanctuary, or defile the sanctuary of his God, for the crown of the anointing oil of his God is upon him, I am Yehovah. And he shall take a wife in her virginity. A widow, or a divorced woman, or defiled, or a prostitute, these he shall not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. Neither shall he defile his seed among his people, for I Yehovah do sanctify him. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron, saying, Whoever he is of your seed in their generations that has any blemish, let him not approach to offer the bread of his God. For whatever man he is that has a blemish, he shall not approach, a blind man, or a lame, or he that has a destroyed nose, or anything deformed, or a man that is broken-footed, or broken-handed, or has an arched back, or a dwarf, or that has a blemish in his eye, or has scurvy, or scabbed, or has his testicles crushed. No man that has a blemish of the seed of Aaron the priest shall come near to offer the offerings of Yehovah made by fire. He has a blemish, he shall not come near to offer the bread of his God. He shall eat the bread of his God, both of the most holy, and of the holy. Only he shall not go into the veil, or come near to the altar, because he has a blemish, that he does not defile my sanctuaries, for I Yehovah do sanctify them. And Moses told it to Aaron, and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, that they separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, and that they do not defile my holy name in those things which they have made holy to me. I am Yehovah. Say to them, Whoever he is of all your seed among your generations, that goes to the holy things, which the children of Israel have made holy to Yehovah, having his uncleanness upon him, that soul shall be cut off from my presence. I am Yehovah. What man who is of the seed of Aaron is a leper, or has a running issue, he shall not eat of the holy things, until he is clean. And whoever touches anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed goes from him, or whoever touches any creeping thing, by which he may be made unclean, or a man of whom he may take uncleanness, whatever uncleanness he has, the soul which has touched any such shall be unclean until evening, and shall not eat of the holy things, unless he washes his flesh with water. And when the sun is down, he shall be clean, and shall afterwards eat of the holy things, because it is his food. That which dies of itself, or is torn with beasts, he shall not eat it to defile himself with it. I am Yehovah. They shall therefore keep my ordinance, or else they bear sin for it, and therefore die, if they defile it. I Yehovah do sanctify them. There shall be no stranger eat of the holy thing, a stranger of the priest, or a hired servant, shall not eat of the holy thing. But if the priest buys any soul with his money, he shall eat of it, and he that is born in his house, they shall eat of his meat. If the priest's daughter also is married to a stranger, she may not eat of an offering of the holy things. But if the priest's daughter is a widow, or divorced, and has no child, and has returned to her father's house, as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's meat, but there shall be no stranger eat of it. And if a man eat of the holy thing through ignorance, then he shall add the fifth part of it to it, and shall give it to the priest with the holy thing. And they shall not defile the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer to Yehovah, or load on them the iniquity of trespass, when they eat their holy things, for I Yehovah do sanctify them. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron, and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, Whoever he is of the house of Israel, or of the strangers in Israel, that will offer his offering for all his vows, and for all his freewill offerings, which they will offer to Yehovah for a burnt offering. You all shall offer at your own will a male without blemish, of the cattle, of the sheep, or of the goats. But whatever has a blemish, you shall not offer that, for it shall not be acceptable for you. And whoever offers a sacrifice of peace offerings to Yehovah to accomplish his vow, or a freewill offering in cattle or sheep, it shall be perfect to be accepted, there shall be no blemish in it. Blind, or broken, or maimed, or having a running sore, or scurvy, or scabbed, you all shall not offer these to Yehovah, or make an offering by fire of them upon the altar to Yehovah. Neither a bullock or a lamb that has anything stretched out or lacking in his parts, that may you offer for a freewill offering, but for a vow it shall not be accepted. You all shall not offer to Yehovah that which is bruised, or crushed, or broken, or cut, neither shall you all make any offering of it in your land. Neither from a stranger's hand shall you all offer the bread of your God of any of these, because their corruption is in them, and blemishes is in them, they shall not be accepted for you. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, When a bullock, or a sheep, or a goat, is brought out, then it shall be 7 days under the mother, and from the 8th day and there onwards it shall be accepted for an offering made by fire to Yehovah. And whether it is a cow or you all shall not kill it and her young both in 1 day. And when you all will offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving to Yehovah, offer it at your own will. On the same day it shall be eaten up, you all shall leave none of it until the next day. I am Yehovah. Therefore shall you all keep my commandments, and do them. I am Yehovah. Neither shall you all defile my holy name, but I will be holy among the children of Israel. I am Yehovah who sanctifies you. That brought you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. I am Yehovah. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, concerning the feasts of Yehovah, which you all shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. You all shall do no work on it. It is the Sabbath of Yehovah in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of Yehovah, even holy convocations, which you all shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is Yehovah's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to Yehovah. 7 days you all must eat unleavened bread. In the first day you all shall have a holy convocation, you all shall do no labor work on it. But you all shall offer an offering made by fire to Yehovah for 7 days, in the 7th day is a holy convocation, you all shall do no labor work on it. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, when you all have come into the land which I give to you, and shall reap the harvest of it, then you all shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yehovah, to be accepted for you. On the next day after the Sabbath the priest shall wave it. And you all shall offer that day when you all wave the sheaf a he-lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering to Yehovah. And the meal offering of it shall be 2/10 parts of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire to Yehovah for a sweet savor, and the drink offering of it shall be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And you all shall eat neither bread, or parched corn, or green ears, until the same day that you all have brought an offering to your God. It shall be a statute always throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And you all shall count to yourselves from the next day after the Sabbath, from the day that you all brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. Even to the next day after the 7th Sabbath shall you all number 50 days, and you all shall offer a new meal offering to Yehovah. You all shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 parts, they shall be of fine flour, they shall be baked with leaven, they are the first fruits to Yehovah. And you all shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams, they shall be for a burnt offering to Yehovah, with their meal offering, and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire, of sweet savor to Yehovah. Then you all shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before Yehovah, with the 2 lambs, they shall be holy to Yehovah for the priest. And you all shall proclaim on the same day, that it may be a holy convocation to you, you all shall do no labor work on it, it shall be a statute always in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when you all reap the harvest of your land, you shall not completely reap of the corners of your field, neither shall you gather any gleaning of your harvest, you shall leave them to the poor, and to the stranger. I am Yehovah your God. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall you all have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You all shall do no labor work on it, but you all shall offer an offering made by fire to Yehovah. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of the 7th month there shall be a day of atonement, it shall be a holy convocation to you, and you all shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire to Yehovah. And you all shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yehovah your God. For whatever soul it is that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatever soul it is that does any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. You all shall not do any work, it shall be a statute always throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be to you a Sabbath of rest, and you all shall afflict your souls, in the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening to evening, shall you all celebrate your Sabbath. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days to Yehovah. On the 1st day shall be a holy convocation, you all shall do no labor work on it. 7 days you all shall offer an offering made by fire to Yehovah, On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation to you, and you all shall offer an offering made by fire to Yehovah. It is a solemn assembly, and you all shall do no labor work on it. These are the feasts of Yehovah, which you all shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire to Yehovah, a burnt offering, and a meal offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon its day. Beside the Sabbaths of Yehovah, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your freewill offerings, which you all give to Yehovah. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when you all have gathered in the fruit of the land, you all shall keep a feast to Yehovah for 7 days. On the 1st day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And on the 1st day you all shall take to yourselves the branches of majestic trees, branches of palm trees, and the branches of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and you all shall rejoice before Yehovah your God for 7 days. And you all shall keep it a feast to Yehovah for 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute always in your generations, you all shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You all shall dwell in tabernacles 7 days, all that are born Israelites shall dwell in tabernacles. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in tabernacles, when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yehovah your God. And Moses declared to the children of Israel the feasts of Yehovah. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel, that they bring to you pure olive oil beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually. Outside the veil of the testimony, in the tabernacle of the congregation, shall Aaron order it from the evening to the morning before Yehovah continually. It shall be a statute always in your generations. He shall order the lamps upon the pure menorah before Yehovah continually. And you shall take fine flour, and bake 12 cakes of it, 2/10 parts shall be in 1 cake. And you shall set them in 2 rows, 6 on a row, upon the pure table before Yehovah. And you shall put pure frankincense upon each row, that it may be on the bread for a memorial, even an offering made by fire to Yehovah. Every Sabbath he shall set it in order before Yehovah continually, being taken from the children of Israel by an everlasting covenant. And it shall be Aaron's and his sons, and they shall eat it in the holy place, for it is most holy to him of the offerings of Yehovah made by fire by a statute always. And the son of a woman of Israel, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel, and this son of the woman of Israel and a man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the woman of Israel's son blasphemed the name of Yehovah, and cursed. And they brought him to Moses, and his mother's name was Shalamith, the daughter of Debri, of the tribe of Dan. And they put him inside, that the mind of Yehovah might be shown to them. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Bring him out that has cursed outside the camp, and let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And you shall speak to the children of Israel, saying, Whoever curses his God shall bear his sin. And he that blasphemes the name of Yehovah, he shall surely be put to death, and all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger, as he that is born in the land, when he blasphemes the name of Yehovah, shall be put to death. And he that kills any man shall surely be put to death. And he that kills a beast shall make it good, beast for beast. And if a man causes a blemish in his neighbor, as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, as he has caused a blemish in a man, so shall it be done to him again. And he that kill a beast, he shall restore it, and he that kills a man, he shall be put to death. You all shall have one law, as well for the stranger, as for one of your own country, for I am Yehovah your God. And Moses spoke to the children of Israel, that they should bring him out that had cursed outside of the camp, and stone him with stones. And the children of Israel did as Yehovah commanded Moses. And Yehovah spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When you all come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath to Yehovah. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard, and gather in the fruit on it. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest to the land, a Sabbath for Yehovah. You shall neither sow your field, or prune your vineyard. That which grew of its own accord of your harvest you shall not reap, neither gather the grapes of your vine untrimmed, for it is a year of rest to the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be food for you, and for your servant, and for your maid, and for your hired servant, and for your stranger that resides with you. And for your cattle, and for the beasts that are in your land, shall all the increase of it be food. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years to you, 7 times 7 years, and the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be to you 49 years. Then shall you cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month, in the day of atonement shall you all make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. And you all shall sanctify the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land to all the inhabitants of it. It shall be a jubilee to you, and you all shall return every man to his possession, and you all shall return every man to his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be to you. You all shall not sow, neither reap that which grew of itself in it, or gather the grapes in it of your vine untrimmed. For it is the jubilee, it shall be holy to you, you all shall eat the increase of it out of the field. In the year of this jubilee you all shall return every man to his possession. And if you should sell to your neighbor, or should buy of your neighbor's hand, you all shall not oppress one another. According to the number of years after the jubilee you shall buy of your neighbor, and according to the number of years of the fruits he shall sell to you. According to the greatness of years you shall increase the price of it, and according to the fewness of years you shall diminish the price of it, for according to the number of the years of the fruits he shall sell to you. You all shall not therefore oppress one another, but you shall fear your God, for I am Yehovah your God. Therefore you all shall do my statutes, and keep my judgments, and do them, and you all shall dwell in the land in safety. And the land shall yield its fruit, and you all shall eat your fill, and dwell in it in safety. And if you all shall say, what shall we eat the 7th year? Look, we shall not sow, or gather in our increase. Then I will command my blessing upon you in the 6th year, and it shall bring out fruit for 3 years. And you all shall sow the 8th year, and still eat of old fruit until the 9th year, until its fruits come in all of you shall eat of the old store. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine, for you all are strangers and residers with me. And in all the land of your possession all of you shall grant a redemption for the land. If your brother grows poor, and has sold away some of his possession, and if any of his relatives come to redeem it, then he shall redeem that which his brother sold. And if the man has no one to redeem it, and he himself is able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale of it, and restore the remainder to the man to whom he sold it, that he may return to his possession. But if he is not able to restore it to him, then that which is sold shall remain in the hand of him that has bought it until the year of Jubilee, and in the Jubilee it shall go out, and he shall return to his possession. And if a man sells a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold, within a full year may he redeem it. And if it is not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established always to him that bought it throughout his generations, it shall not go out in the Jubilee. But the houses of the villages which have no wall all around them it shall be counted as the fields of the country, they may be redeemed, and they shall go out in the Jubilee. As to the cities of the Levites, and the houses of the cities of their possession, may the Levites redeem at any time. And if a man purchases of the Levites, then the house that was sold, and the city of his possession, shall go out in the year of Jubilee, for the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. But the field of the suburbs of their cities may not be sold, for it is their possession always. And if your brother grows poor, and fallen in decay beside you, then you shall relieve him, yes, though he is a stranger, or a resider, that he may live with you. You are not to take interest of him, or increase, but fear your God, that your brother may live with you. You shall not give him your money on interest, or lend him your food for increase. I am Yehovah your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God. And if your brother that dwells by you grows poor, and is sold to you, you shall not compel him to serve as a bondservant. But as a hired servant, and as a resider, he shall be with you, and shall serve you to the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from you, both he and his children with him, and shall return to his own family, and to the possession of his fathers he shall return. For they are my servants, which I brought out of the land of Egypt, they shall not be sold as menservants. You shall not rule over him with cruelty, but shall fear your God. Both your menservants, and your maidservants, whom you shall have, shall be of the nations that are all around you, of them shall you all buy menservants and maidservants. Also of the children of the strangers that do reside among you, of them shall you all buy, and of their families that are with you, which they had in your land, and they shall be your possession. And you all shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession, they shall be your menservants always, but over your brothers the children of Israel, you all shall not rule one over another with cruelty. And if a resider or stranger grows to be rich by you, and your brother that dwells by him grows to be poor, and sells himself to the stranger or resider by you, or to the offspring of the stranger's family. After that he is sold he may be redeemed again, one of his brothers may redeem him. Either his uncle, or his uncle's son, may redeem him, or any that is a blood relation to him of his family may redeem him, or if he is able, he may redeem himself. And he shall reckon with him that bought him from the year that he was sold to him to the year of Jubilee, and the price of his sale shall be according to the number of years, according to the time of a hired servant shall it be with him. If there are still many years, according to them he shall give again the price of his redemption out of the money that he was bought for. And if there remains only a few years to the year of Jubilee, then he shall count with him, and according to his years shall he give him again the price of his redemption. And as a yearly hired servant he shall be with him, and the other shall not rule with cruelty over him in your sight. And if he is not redeemed in these years, then he shall go out in the year of Jubilee, both he, and his children with him. For to me the children of Israel are servants, they are my servants whom I brought out outside of the land of Egypt, I am Yehovah your God. You all shall not make for yourselves idols or carved images, neither are you to raise up a standing image, neither shall all of you set up any image of stone in your land, to bow down to it, for I am Yehovah your God. You all shall keep my Sabbaths, and revere my sanctuary, I am Yehovah. If you all walk in my statutes, and keep my commandments, and do them, then I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield its increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. And your threshing shall reach to the vintage, and the vintage shall reach to the sowing time, and you all shall eat your bread to the full, and dwell in your land safely. And I will give peace in the land, and you all shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid, and I will rid evil beasts out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land. And you all shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. For I will have respect to you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. And you all shall eat old store, and bring out the old because of the new. And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and you all shall be my people. I am Yehovah your God, which brought you out outside of the land of Egypt, that you all should not be their menservants, and I have broken the bands of your yoke, and made you go upright. But if you all will not listen to me, and will not do all these commandments, and if you all shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhors my judgments, so that you all will not do all my commandments, but that you all break my covenant, I also will do this to you, I will even appoint over you terror, wasting disease, and the burning fever, that shall consume the eyes, and cause sorrow of heart, and you all shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. And I will set my face against you, and you all shall be slain before your enemies, they that hate you shall reign over you, and you all shall flee when none pursues you. And if you all will not yet for all this listen to me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. And I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven as iron, and your earth as brass. And your strength shall be spent in vain, for your land shall not yield its increase, neither shall the trees of the land yield their fruits. And if you all walk contrary to me, and will not listen to me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children, and destroy your cattle, and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate. And if you all will not be reformed by me by these things, but will walk contrary to me, then will I also walk contrary to you, and will punish you also 7 times for your sins. And I will bring a sword upon you, that shall avenge the vengeance of my covenant, and when you all are gathered together within your cities, I will send the pestilence among you, and you all shall be delivered into the hand of the enemy. And when I have broken the staff of your bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight, and you all shall eat, and not be satisfied. And if you all will not for all this listen to me, but walk contrary to me, then I will walk contrary to you also in fury, and I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins. And you all shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall you all eat. And I will destroy your high places, and cut down your images, and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols, and my soul shall abhor you. And I will make your cities waste, and bring your sanctuaries to desolation, and I will not smell the savor of your sweet odors. And I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell in it shall be astonished at it. And I will scatter you among the nations, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. Then shall the land enjoy its Sabbaths, as long as it lies desolate, and you all are in your enemy's land, even then shall the land rest, and enjoy its Sabbaths. As long as it lies desolate it shall rest, because it did not rest in your Sabbaths, when all of you dwelt upon it. And upon them that are left alive of you I will send a faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies, and the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee, as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursues. And they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, when none pursues, and you all shall have no power to stand before your enemies. And you all shall perish among the nations, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. And they that are left of you shall decay away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they decay away with them. If they shall confess their iniquity, and the iniquity of their fathers, with their trespass which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary to me. And that I also have walked contrary to them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept the punishment of their iniquity. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy its Sabbaths, while it lies desolate without them, and they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, even because they despised my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. And yet for all that, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am Yehovah their God. But for their sakes I will remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought out outside of the land of Egypt in the sight of the nations, that I might be their God. I am Yehovah. These are the statutes and judgments and laws, which Yehovah made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When a man shall make a singular vow, the persons shall be for Yehovah by your estimation. And your estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old even to 60 years old, even your estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And if it is a female, then your estimation shall be 30 shekels. And if it is from 5 years old even to 20 years old, then your estimation shall be of the male 20 shekels, and for the female 10 shekels. And if it is from a month old even to 5 years old, then your estimation shall be of the male 5 shekels of silver, and for the female your estimation shall be 3 shekels of silver. And if it is from 60 years old and above, if it is a male, then your estimation shall be 15 shekels, and for the female 10 shekels. But if he is poorer than your estimation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall value him, according to his ability that vowed shall the priest value him. And if it is a beast, where men bring an offering to Yehovah, all that any man gives of such to Yehovah shall be holy. He shall not alter it, or change it, a good for a bad, or a bad for a good, and if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it and the exchange of it shall be holy. And if it is any unclean beast, of which they do not offer a sacrifice to Yehovah, then he shall present the beast before the priest. And the priest shall value it, whether it is good or bad, as you value it, who are the priest, so shall it be. But if he will at all redeem it, then he shall add a 5th part of it to your estimation. And when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy to Yehovah, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it is good or bad, as the priest shall estimate it, so shall it stand. And if he that sanctified it will redeem his house, then he shall add the 5th part of the money of your estimation to it, and it shall be his. And if a man shall sanctify to Yehovah some part of a field of his possession, then your estimation shall be according to the seed of it, a homer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. If he sanctifies his field from the year of Jubilee, according to your estimation it shall stand. But if he sanctifies his field after the Jubilee, then the priest shall calculate to him the money according to the years that remain, even to the year of the Jubilee, and it shall be withdrawn from your estimation. And if he that sanctified the field will in any way redeem it, then he shall add the 5th part of the money of your estimation to it, and it shall be assured to him. And if he will not redeem the field, or if he has sold the field to another man, it shall not be redeemed any more. But the field, when it goes out in the Jubilee, shall be holy to Yehovah, as a field devoted, the possession of it shall be the priest's. And if a man sanctifies to Yehovah a field which he has bought, which is not of the fields of his possession, then the priest shall calculate to him the worth of your estimation, even to the year of the Jubilee, and he shall give your estimation in that day, as a holy thing to Yehovah. In the year of the Jubilee the field shall return to him of whom it was bought, even to him to whom the possession of the land did belong. And all your estimations shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary, 20 gerahs shall be the shekel. Only the firstling of the beasts, which should be Yehovah's firstling, no man shall sanctify it, whether it is an ox, or sheep, it is Yehovah's. And if it is of an unclean beast, then he shall redeem it according to your estimation, and shall add a fifth part of it to it, or if it is not redeemed, then it shall be sold according to your estimation. Surely no devoted thing, that a man shall devote to Yehovah of all that he has, both of man and beast, and of the field of his possession, shall be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy to Yehovah. None devoted, which shall be devoted of men, shall be redeemed, but shall surely be put to death. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land, or of the fruit of the tree, is Yehovah's, it is holy to Yehovah. And if a man will at all redeem of his tithes, he shall add to it the fifth part on it. And concerning the tithe of the herd, or of the flock, even of whatever passes under the rod, the tenth shall be holy to Yehovah. He shall not search whether it is good or bad, neither shall he change it, and if he changes it at all, then both it and the change of it shall be holy, it shall not be redeemed. These are the commandments, which Yehovah commanded Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai.